folks, the Filipino P here. And because you guys liked it so much, I'm gonna discuss some more surprising facts about life in the Philippines that you probably aren't aware of. Every culture has its quirks, and mine is no exception. For instance, what does it mean when you're traveling down the road and you come across a dead body with people gambling next to it? Stay tuned and I'll explain what's going on. Visiting or moving to the Philippines can cause real culture shock. And most of you already know about the big things that are different. But today, I'm going to talk about some of the finer points that might surprise, confuse, and amuse. So, let's get started on the fun stuff with the dreaded Filipino speed bumps. In your country, a speed bump is often just a gentle reminder to reduce your speed as you get close to a school zone or a crosswalk. Unless you hit it really hard, you're barely aware that there was anything there. Not so in my country. The speed bumps here are huge, and you feel like you're scaling Mount Everest every time you try to get over one. They require that you come to a full stop, but even if you do, you're probably gonna scrape the underside of your vehicle. I have no idea why it's like that, because being overly cautious and safety-minded isn't exactly a thing here. If you buy a bag of cookies or a pack of crackers at the store, be prepared to spend a little extra time between picking up the bag and tasting the product, because many things here are in what we call retail packaging, which means that instead of a tray of cookies inside the bag, you'll be greeted by a bunch of even smaller bags, each with 2 or 3 cookies that have to be opened separately. Maybe it's our food version of the speed bump. So you have to ask yourself, do I really want to go to all the trouble of fighting my way to another cookie? Things like shampoo and toothpaste can also come in teeny tiny single-use packages, what you folks would call sample size. And even medication comes individually wrapped. When you go to the pharmacy to get some aspirin, the pharmacist is going to ask you how many you want, how many tablets you want, and each one will come in its own blister pack. We love our intricate packaging, and you'll find out just how intricate things can get if you order takeout food. It could take you 10 minutes to penetrate the many levels of tape, staples, and wrappings around every single item in your order. Drink cups might be tied with nylon string that's harder to get into than police zip ties are to get out of. The styrofoam box your burger comes in might be taped so securely that you need a knife to cut your way into it. But don't look in the bag, because not only will you not find a plastic knife or fork in there, but you probably won't find any napkins either, which you really wish you had to wipe away the tears of frustration from not being able to get a bite of food. Now here's an interesting thing that sometimes offends foreigners, but I'm not exactly sure why, because we really don't mean anything bad by it. As you're walking around town, some people are gonna smile at you and say, "Hey Joe." It's just our way of greeting foreigners and testing our English. We call you Joe because of the GI Joes from the war. And of course, we don't know your real name. I've heard foreigners get mad at this, thinking it's somehow a racial slur, but we're really just trying to be friendly. Hopefully you realize our intentions and just smile back at us and wave. And speaking of names, you might have noticed that we can have some unusual ones. You might run across a young girl with the name Juvie, which you always think is funny. But have you noticed our love of royal names like Prince, Duke, Princess, and King? In the West, if you say your name is King Charles, people might wonder if you have delusions of grandeur. But here, it's just considered trendy. You've probably also noticed that we use a lot of titles that convey status here, which is common in Asian cultures. In the West, you might say sir or ma'am as a way to politely acknowledge an adult. But here, we have quite a few extra terms to indicate how people rank against each other based on age, which is all important here. No matter if it's a friend, a stranger, even a sibling, if someone's a few years older than you don't use their real names. You call them ate for a female, or kuya for a male. And yes, my little brothers call me ate. If you're talking to someone significantly older than you refer to them as po, no matter if it's a male or female. And even if you're older than they are, don't call your in-laws by their first names, which would be considered very rude. Instead, call her mother nanay and her father tatay. We minimize the use of first names here and relate to each other based on age and status, which is a very un-Western thing to do. So it might take a little getting used to. Speaking of age, have you ever been walking along and seen a really cute Filipina and immediately had the creepy feeling that you might have just been admiring a 13-year-old? Even when she turns around, you still can't tell if she's 13 or 30 because we all look the same to you. Don't feel bad. It happens to all of you. But for some reason, your Filipina has the uncanny ability to tell their age with one quick look. After she smacks you, of course. Filipinas can also tell if you've been admiring a 13-year-old boy. Yup, we have perfect gender radar too. And we think it's funny that you can't tell the difference when it's so obvious to us. Here's a little dining tip for you. If you go to a buffet restaurant, don't get there any later than an hour before they're supposed to close. Why not? Because chances are they'll already be putting the food away. Unlike in the West, where they usually serve you right until closing time, here they stop refilling the buffet tables much earlier, and closing time means lights out and the last customer has to go. Don't get there late or you're gonna get cheated. Now here's a topic you might not be comfortable with, but I think you'll be fascinated with why it's like this. If you're a Filipina, you're gonna have a really hard time finding tampons. Very few stores carry them, and the only thing you can find are the feminine pads. And you know why? Because people believe that if you use a tampon, you're no longer a virgin. I'm serious. So you can use the messy pads or defile yourself with a tampon. But either way, you're screwed. But it's still not over for the poor Filipina who's experiencing that time of the month. Because it's also believed that taking a shower while having your period will make you insane. Suffice it to say, there's 1 week per month when it's really not a good idea to ask a Filipina out on a date. So what about the mystery of the dead body on the street surrounded by gambling Filipinos? Did you figure it out? Well, what you probably come across is a wake. Due to the small size of most Filipino homes compared to the large number of relatives, wakes are often held outdoors in the street. Sometimes traffic is shut down in one direction, and people gather outside for the occasion. Wakes can be long affairs, and people are expected to hang around for many hours. So we discovered it's a perfect time to gamble. We play poker, lucky sevens, and tong-its, which is like rummy. And yes, we play for real money. People passing by throw coins on the ground, which is supposed to stop the spirit of the dead person from following them home, and also allows the family of the dearly departed to pay for the wake and bury the dead. Well, that's it for today, folks, and I hope you enjoyed this segment of The Real Philippines. Stay tuned for more wackiness in just a few days, and in just a moment, I'm gonna show you another mess I've gotten myself into. Till next time! As most of you guys know, I have a soft spot for people or animals in need. And here in the Philippines, you can't walk more than 10 steps without coming across a creature in distress. I currently have 9 stray cats, 5 at my mom's house and 4 here with me, as well as a sick dog that I nursed back to health and I recently found a home for. I never go looking for these animals. They always find me. And when I was in a parking lot, this little girl approached me, say hi. So she's probably the sweetest cat or the friendliest cat I've ever seen, and she started following me wherever I went. Well, she was a mess, so I brought her home, fed her, and gave her vitamins, and took her to the vet to have her spayed. But unfortunately, the vet told me she's already pregnant. I didn't really notice that before, but she's really getting big. You fatty, fatty. Here, kitty, kitty. So guys, anyway, she looks awfully young to be having babies, but here in the Philippines, well, even children can't have babies. So now I have to get ready for another litter of kitties and oh whoa. Now I've been doing my animal rescue stuff on my Patreon page, and I wanted to show you guys this little sweetheart because, well, because there's no way I could keep her and another 4 or 5 cats, and I have to neuter and spay them all together. I don't have the room, I don't have the time, and I don't have the money. So when she gives birth, well, it might be a couple of weeks from now, and any of you viewers here in Dumaguete area that might like a kitten, please leave a comment with your contact info, and I'll be happy to provide you one that's been checked out by the vet and fully weaned. I'll take care of them all here while she's still nursing, but once they're ready, I'm going to find homes, and I think it would be wonderful if I have their forever families all lined up. And I'll keep you posted, and of course, I'm going to give you an update once the babies arrive. All right? So, thank you guys for considering. Bye! I know. You're such a sweetie. Yes, I know. If you think about it, I'm kind of like your nurse, attending to your needs and making sure you get a healthy dose of what's good for you in the form of informational and funny videos. After all, laughter is the best medicine. The only thing I ask for my service is that you hit the thumbs up for this video and subscribe to my channel. And while you're recuperating, why not enjoy my other videos too? So, are you ready?